Another reason why I love these openers. Nothing like some good old-fashioned mineral water. Hey, what's going on here? Tony at LearnAutoBodyAndPaint.com, and I want to talk to you today about high volume, low pressure spray guns. Now, there's a lot of talk about this and a lot of confusion on the internet. So a lot of people ask me pretty much every single day is, Tony, do I get a high volume, low pressure spray gun, or do I get a low volume, low pressure spray gun? Now, let me tell you, high volume, low pressure spray guns were created to basically be a better spray gun than the conventional spray guns. Conventional spray guns have a lot of atomization, which means it atomizes your paint really well, but there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of overspray and very inefficient transfer rate, meaning the paint getting onto your panels. So they created the high volume, low pressure spray gun, which is designed differently, okay? And some of the pros with the high volume, low pressure spray gun is that you get a much higher transfer rate, 60 to 80% transfer rate, meaning the material coming out of your nozzle to the panel, right? Versus 35% on conventional spray guns. So there's a huge difference. It depends on the spray gun. The Atom that I'm holding right now has about 75, and through some tests, over 75% transfer rate. So it's a very high transfer rate, very low material wastage, and low overspray with these spray guns here. You get reduced material, reduced emissions. So like I said, less overspray is less emissions, less fumes going into the environment. And it uses low pressure to atomize materials while putting a high volume of material transfer rate onto the panel. And a lot of people ask me, Tony, well, should I be using a small compressor or a big compressor? Well, a high volume, low pressure spray gun needs more air volume, okay, to operate. You're gonna need a bigger compressor. Again, it all depends if you're working on a small project or a big project. So if you're doing maybe just a fender on a car, you know, or a quarter panel or a touch-up, and you have a 30-gallon, 3.5 horsepower compressor that puts out 10 to 12 CFM, you can do it. You're not gonna have a problem. If you go try to paint the whole car with a 30-gallon air compressor, with putting out that kind of volume, this thing is gonna suck up and eat a lot more volume. All right, so we're gonna need to feed it 26 to 28 pounds trigger pulled on this air gauge here. And it's only gonna be coming out at about 10 PSI measured at the cap. That's cap pressure. You hear a lot of people talking about that, maybe not, but you can hardly measure a cap pressure. All the spray guns are measured over here of what you're spraying at, okay? So the ideal spraying with these guns is about 26 to 28 PSI with the trigger pulled. So your trigger is pulled, you got your air hose hooked up. I like to hook up my system like this, where you got my 1/4 inch coupling. I got 3/8 inch hose coming into here. I got my 1/4 inch coupling adapter. I got my little insurance water filter. They're only like $5 to $8 depending on where you get them. You can get them at Zula.com for a really good price. And then I got my gauge here. This little gauge down here is your air pressure regulator. I like to use, this is the air pressure regulator on the gun. I like to keep this all the way open. So this is closed, right? I like to keep this all the way open and then adjust my pressure over here while the trigger is pulled. All right, usually when you're spraying base coats, you're spraying at about 26, 27 PSI on average. It depends if it's a hot day or a colder day, your air pressure is gonna fluctuate a little bit, right? But that's pretty much it. So what are high volume, low pressure spray guns good for? Well, they're exceptional for base coats, okay? And the other question I get is, Tony, can I spray base coat and clear coat out of a high volume, low pressure? Absolutely, okay? A lot of people do it, I do it. You can spray both base and clear. Some people, they get technical. Some painting experts get technical and they like to use the high volume, low pressure for base coats only, okay? Because it has a great transfer efficiency rate, and it's also great for spraying metallics, okay? Because it atomizes really well. It puts the paint on the panel really well. So high volume, low pressure is really good for base coats. Also for waterborne paints, this thing is really, really good for. Now, when it comes to tip sizes, the recommended tip sizes for spraying cars and automotive refinishes and even woodwork is 1.3 to a 1.4 tip size. what we have on here, what we have on this Atom is a 1.3 tip size, as you can see, and this is a high volume, low pressure. So you can see that these holes here are going to be bigger than a low volume, low pressure setup. All right, so you need more volume, and this is good for base coat. So if you're doing all around, if you have a 60-gallon air compressor in your DIY shop or your shop, or maybe an 80-gallon, high volume, low pressure is the way to go for base coats, okay? You could even spray single stage enamels. And when it comes down to tip size, 1.3, 1.4, it really depends on you. You know, I mean, it's user preference. I've tried 1.3. I personally like to use the 1.4 tip size for all of my base coat spraying with this, and even clear coat. So, you know, test it out. Test out a 1.3. A couple of projects that I painted, I used a 1.3 with no problems whatsoever. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, to get a really good paint job, it's just a matter of material coming out, timing, and distance, and that's pretty much it, you know, and the right pressures. So as long as you're spraying at 26 to 28 with base coat, you got, you know, 5 to 8 inches between the gun and the panel, give or take. Okay, you got a wide open fan and you got material wide open, then you're really, really in good shape. Okay, so so basically this here is your fluid and this is my fan. Okay, so how I like to adjust my fluid is keep it wide open. So I back it off all the way, I go ahead and squeeze my trigger and I just close it until it just touches. That's it, that's wide open. Okay, you really don't want to mess with this and go in. There's no sense to. Okay, if you're doing any kind of automotive or woodwork painting, keep it wide open because you can adjust it with your trigger. If you want more paint to come out, squeeze it. You want a little less, squeeze it a little less. That's pretty much it. And this is your fan adjustment here. We have other videos where I show you actually using these spray guns. This video is just more of a bullet point list talking about it and wide open. So if I want to narrow my fan down, I'll just go like this and it'll come out like a stream. Of course, you're going to want to lower your pressure because you're condensing, you're making your fan pattern really low here, really small. So you're going to have to lower your pressure if you're doing any kind of graphics work. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully this answered some of your common questions. I'm going to go over into low volume, low pressure spray guns and why maybe a low volume, low pressure might be a better choice for you. Again, it all depends. And it's Tony here. Thanks for watching the video. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions, and do check out the Atom spray guns. They are fantastic, awesome, high quality guns. They are all I use right now for automotive painting and woodwork refinishing as well. I just did a project on some wood, came out fantastic. So it's Tony here. This is the Atom X27. Check it out on Google, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye.